Good evening, friends. Can you hear me? Good evening, friends. Can you hear me? Good evening, Fatima Mustafa. Good evening, people. Sayesh, Vanakkam. Good evening. Can you hear me? Am I audible to you? Nice, nice, nice. Thank you. Thank you for joining for a very short session. See, this is not going to be a very long session, just 60 minutes. What is the beauty? In 60 minutes, you can have 60 MCQs. Very rapid, fast revision of many MCQs. None of the questions are made by me. Do not worry, because when I make questions, some people find it very, very tough. Some people say moderate, but this is a real-time exam question paper. So you don't have to blame me. You cannot be angry with me. You have to be angry with the exam setter if you think it is very easy. And if you think it is very easy and you're happy with that, the credit also goes back to the major exams. So all the questions have been taken only from the exams, not from me. So please be happy that you're going to face all of them. And this is the introduction. Please bear with me for the mandatory introduction I have to give before every special class that has to be done. This is the mercy shown by Unacademy towards the educators to help them have many free classes and communicate with the students. So in return, they expect us to tell us about the classes here. We have plus subscription on Unacademy. What is plus subscription? When you pay, you'll be coming for complete courses. Instead of going to a live face-to-face class, you will be facing complete courses, 70 hours for each subject. They'll be taking live classes. You'll actually gain more from the faculty. And you'll have daily live class, structured course, live tests and quizzes, unlimited access. For example, if you actually take NEET PG subscription, it is open access to all UPSC, IAS, IPS, all kinds of exams. You can come for it with a single subscription. It is the cheapest ever possible, I can tell you. I'm really telling you for sure, it is very cheap as a human point of view. And this is the referral code, Dr. ASM YT. And there is something called as iconic subscription. You would have heard about prep ladders, recorded videos, and the live videos of Unacademy coming together. It'll be giving you a combo effort. Again, you can use my code, 10% discount for exclusive access to my videos, which have been recorded, and also for the classes I'll be taking in the future. And free live classes. Tomorrow at 6:30 p.m., we'll have lysosomal storage disorders or mucopolysaccharidosis. We'll be having transcription done tomorrow for biochemistry and that of molecular biology, 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. Tomorrow also we'll have one more session for MCQs. Are you all okay for having MCQ session tomorrow? If you say you like it, we'll do it. Please put a Y if you want it. See, I want to know how many people can turn up so that I can make efforts to create questions and get it for you. If you say yes, I'll do it for you. Okay, so Unacademy series 2022 target people, they can have their daily free tests at 9 p.m. And for those targeting 2021 exams, they can have their free tests at 8 p.m. Okay, and this is the Operation 8 batch course where I'm teaching threadbare A to Z of all biochemistry. And this is where you can get the links for all my free classes. You can benefit from the free classes here. And this is the Instagram account where you can connect with me. Shall we start the quiz now? Shall we start? Shall we start? Shall we start? I'm excited because you all are on time and you've actually been very punctual. I'm so happy that you're going to respond. Okay, let's start. First question. This is the, please remember, this number is not the order in which we are doing it. This is the number that is picked up directly from the question paper original. So regarding NK cells, false statement is which one? 1 minute. Yes, go for the poll, people. A real-time exam question, so don't make a mistake. And because these are not very tough questions, if you score more than 50%, approximately around 70%, you should pat yourself on the back. You are very good. Okay. Do not worry about anything. If you score 70%, you should be good to go for the exams. Well played, people. Okay. So would you like explanation or do you want me to run with the questions? Whatever you choose, I'll do it for you. Welcome, Ash SSR. Welcome, Harshit, Hanuman Singh, Rahi Raha. Raj is on top, Sayesh next, Amisha, Sahana, Abhishek, Varshini, Raji, your fan, Chavi Gupta, Keshav Garg. Okay. Welcome, Aziz. So Savana says she needs explanation. Anybody else? Do you want only the question and the answer or the explanation also? I can make a very small explanation of 2 to 3 lines. Would you be patient enough to listen to the explanation or no? See, I do not want to impose anything on you. Okay, look at this. Regarding NK cells, false statement. Always remember, NK cells can be activated by interleukin 2. Interleukin 2's primary function is to convert an inactive NK cell into an active NK cell. And also, NK cell is just like a B lymphocyte or a T lymphocyte. It's a variant of a lymphocyte. It means option C is correct. Also remember, whenever you want NK cells to be exactly happening, T4 cells can activate B cells. Those B cells can become plasma cells. Those plasma cells can produce antibodies, and those antibodies can activate NK cells. This can be written as antibody-dependent cell-mediated cytotoxicity by NK cells. I repeat, you can have antibody-dependent cell-mediated cytotoxicity exhibited by NK cells that is powered by antibodies. The only thing that is wrong is option B. Please remember, NK cells in the purest form don't have. NK cells in their purest form do not have CD3 marker, because CD3 marker is a universal T cell marker. Universal T cell marker. Also remember, NK cell is like a grandpa at home. A grandmother or grandpa, they'll be extremely stubborn. They'll say they can take care of themselves very well. If you tell them you are dependent on me, they'll become egoistically hurt. They'll say, I am not dependent on you. I'll never depend on you. That is what they become angry with. But they say, please, grandma, accept the fact that you are not dependent on me, but let me help you. When you beg them, they'll allow you to help you. So when NK cells are allowing the help of the T cells, there becomes a separate cell called as NK bar T cell. Because they are bound to T cell, those NK bar T cells can be CD3 positive. Otherwise, all the other NK cells are CD3 negative. This is what I wanted to know from this question. Let's go for the next question. Adenosine deaminase deficiency is seen in which of the following? It's a very simple question for all of you. Not much of explanation. It's a crisp answer. Remember, adenosine has to be deaminated to become inosine monophosphate. If that is not happening, adenosine content increases in the circulation. These adenosine content can be toxic to the T cells. When the T cells are destroyed, they won't be able to activate B cells also. So when both T cells and B cells are destroyed, you will be having total lymphocytic deficiency, which is called as severe combined immunodeficiency. Next question. A beta hemolytic bacteria is resistant to vancomycin. It shows growth in 6.5% NaCl and it is not bile sensitive. It is likely to be which organism? Welcome Janni, welcome Dr. Abhi, welcome Raksharati, welcome Darshana Sanal, welcome Rakesh. Let's see how many of you can give me the right answer here. This is a beta hemolytic bacteria. It is resistant to vancomycin. It shows growth in 6.5% NaCl and non-bile sensitive. What is the organism? Welcome Brijesh Moore. Welcome Rajat Singh. Well played, people. Nice. So we have 42% people giving us the right answer. That's a good status. That's a good guess. Okay. This is the leaderboard. Raj is on top, Varshini Granger next, Yofan third, Raji Chandu fourth, Yusuf Hakim fifth, Kanmani sixth, Ken Adam seventh, HD eighth, Sayesh ninth, and Sahana 10th. Well played, people. Welcome Samyogita Shivaji. You came yesterday, right? Thank you for coming. So look at this. We focus on the organism called as Enterococcus. Let me give you crisp annotations. Streptococcus pneumoniae is the most bile sensitive. It is the most bile sensitive. In the question, they're asking about non-bile sensitive organism. Also remember, 6.5% NaCl is an extreme irritant. 6.5% concentration of NaCl is an extreme irritant. So only group D streptococci, can easily accept. Only group D streptococci can easily accept and resist 40% bile. Among them, group D streptococci we have Streptococcus bovis and Enterococcus. Now, can you people tell me, what if I change in the question can make the option D the right answer? When I change something in the question, the answer becomes D. Which one? No. Streptococcus bovis also can be vancomycin resistant. Enterococcus also can be vancomycin resistant. The difference is that if at all the organism Enterococcus, it will grow in 6.5% NaCl. But Streptococcus bovis dies in the presence of 6.5% NaCl. Are you all happy with this information, people? Are you all okay? Are you all satisfied with the answer? See, I have given you the answers for each of the options. Agalexia does not fit the bill at all because it is not known to be vancomycin resistant, but pneumococcus is bile sensitive, so this is wrong. Enterococcus is Streptococcus bovis. Streptococcus bovis dies in 6.5% NaCl, but Enterococcus grows in 6.5% NaCl. Okay, let's go for the next question. False statement about Streptococcus is which one? I'll give you 45 seconds time. Sorry. Go for it. 45 seconds time. Which is the false statement about Streptococcus? Welcome Kribakar. Welcome Nujat Iqbal. Nujat Iqbal, are you new to this class? Have you come to this class for the first time? We are trying to answer as okay. Thank you very much, Nujat Iqbal. If you find any difficulty with the class, please let me know. If my speed is not okay for you, also please let me know. I'll try my best to help you. Are you an FMG aspirant, Nujat? Okay. So in this question, we had only 10% people giving us the right answer. It means there are many people who could not actually find out what went wrong. Rajesh Chandra is on top. Raj, Varshni, Granger, Yofan, Charvi Gupta are the top 5 people. Now look at this. M protein is the major surface protein of group A is a 100% true statement, and this M protein is for Griffith's classification. Can anybody tell me the importance of M1, M2, M3 streptococci of group A? Group A can be divided into M1 till M80 strains of streptococci. So M1, M2, M3. Does anybody know? This is an important MCQ. That's why I'm asking you. What is the importance of M1, M2, M3 of group A streptococci? M protein is important for the group A to go for typing into M1 to M80. In that M1, M2, M3 are called as flesh-eating bacteria. They are called as flesh-eating bacteria. They can pierce through the skin. They can open up through the subcutaneous area. They can destroy the fat. They can destroy the aponeurosis. They can destroy even the muscle. They can expose the bone. It will be so horrible. Please understand, M1, M2, M3 strains are important for flesh-eating bacteria. And if at all the streptococcus has a lot of mucoid colonies, please remember, any bacteria for that matter, if the bacteria is surrounded by mucoid colonies, it makes the bacteria stick more stronger or weaker to the surface. Hello? Strongly to the surface. If a bacteria sticks very strongly to the surface, then the ability of the body to remove the organism becomes lesser. The ability falls, because of which the organism can become virulent. Also remember, endotoxin causes rash or scarlet fever is absolutely wrong. In this question paper, option D is wrong. Option A is also wrong. Why? The worst answer is A. M protein is not important for mucoid colonies, because protein is protein. Mucoid colonies is mucopolysaccharides. So option A is wrong. D is also wrong. Why? Because not endotoxin, exotoxin causes the rash of scarlet fever. So both A and D are false, but the worst answer is A. For those people who chose D, I'm really sorry, you're out of luck. This is better luck next time, because this was the key set by the question paper. Please remember, please don't hate me. I am not responsible for this question and the answer. This question is picked up from real-time exam question papers. I'm explaining you what is happening. It was bad luck in that area. Remember, both A and D are false statements. Welcome, Mahi, Bethel, and Veena. Next question. Toxin involved in streptococcal toxic shock syndrome is which one? Yes. This question is a very important question. You can't say no to this question. You should be knowing these questions and answers very well. You have to know them properly. See, when I say streptococcus, you have something called as super antigen. The super antigen is not only present in streptococcus, it is also present in staphylococcus. Now think about it. We can have streptococcal toxic shock syndrome. We can have staphylococcal toxic shock syndrome also. Can you tell me what is caused by streptococcus, which is never caused by staphylococcus? See, staphylococcus is the queen of all bacteria among cocci. Staphylococcus can do everything that streptococci can do. But there is one thing that staphylococci cannot do, which streptococci can do. That is causing a scarlet fever. Now, in scarlet fever, then you will be having erythrogenic toxin. Why? Because the scarlet fever toxin is also called as Dick toxin, Schultz-Schalten toxin, erythrogenic toxin, and superantigen toxin. All these are names of a single toxin. But in Streptococcus, if we focus on toxic shock syndrome toxin, it is called as pyrogenic exotoxin C. Pyrogenic exotoxin A belongs to Staphylococcus, C belongs to Streptococcus, and this pyrogenic toxin is the one that is causing streptococcal toxic shock syndrome. Let's go for the next question. A child presents with a white patch over the tonsils. Diagnosis best confirmatory made by culture in what? Best diagnosis. Best diagnosis. Now, there is a key mistake in the FMG exam and the UPSC exam. So those people who follow the key, please don't fall for it. Please remember, there is a tricky area here. See, what is the diagnosis, people? First, tell me the diagnosis here. What is your diagnosis? Anybody? Anybody? Excellent, Varshini. It is diphtheria. So remember, diphtheria is an example of a killer disease of childhood. Diphtheria is a killer disease of childhood. And in that diphtheria, which diphtheria is the worst? Is it nasal diphtheria, pharyngeal diphtheria, or laryngeal diphtheria? Which one is the worst? Welcome, Zishan, Aditya, and Christina. Tell me, which one is the worst? Nasal diphtheria, pharyngeal diphtheria, laryngeal diphtheria. Excellent. Laryngeal diphtheria is the worst. Why? Because when you have a patch of white patch over the tonsils, if the same patch is happening on the larynx, larynx is the voice box, and larynx is the base for airway. If the airway is obstructed, the patient can die. So remember, whenever they say airway is blocked, and when they say there is emergency happening, in emergency situation, the best is Loeffler's medium. But when you want to make the best diagnosis and confirm it, the medium is tellurite agar. Please understand, it can be referred to as potassium blood tellurite agar. There are two types. It can be either potassium blood tellurite agar or cysteine blood tellurite agar. When will you call it as a positive answer? When you have matte black, shiny colonies. After growing them on cysteine blood agar or potassium tellurate agar, it is a positive answer. 100% diagnostic of diphtheria. For emergency situation, for rapid testing, the answer is Loeffler's. So for those people who made a mistake, correct it right now. Loeffler's is for rapid, tellurite is for confirmatory. Next question. A patient with 14 days of fever is suspected of having typhoid. What investigation should be done 14 days? This is a repeat question from another exam. So I hope you'll be able to get the right answer. But for Loeffler isn't specific. Never. Please understand, Raksha. Loeffler's serum slope is moderately specific. This is the definition of Loeffler's serum slope. While potassium blood tellurate agar or cysteine blood tellurate agar is the most specific. Most specific medium is potassium blood tellurite. Is that okay, Raksha? Yes. So today, still we have only 60% people who got the right answer. Zishan has given the fastest answer here, followed by, okay, Kanmani is on top, Yusuf second, Yofan third, Rashni Granger fourth, Rajesh fifth. Okay, look at this. A patient with 14 days of fever is suspected of having typhoid. 14 days means what? Second week. For those people who did not come yesterday, let me make it very short. The mnemonic is BASU, BASU. That is end of first week, end of second week, end of third week, end of fourth week. B stands for blood culture, A stands for antibody, S stands for stool culture, U stands for urine culture. So second week end is called as 14 days. If it is 14 days, second week antibody based test is Widal. So the best answer is Widal. Okay, let's go for the next question. All are true about EHEC except which one? All are true about EHEC. All are true about EHEC except which one? I can sense again only 19% people have got the right answer. EHEC. Oh my God, Ramkumar, EHEC is enterohemorrhagic E. coli. Again, please don't hate me. I have just copied the questions from the site, the national website for FMGE and UPSC exams. So this is enterohemorrhagic E. coli. Now look at this. Let me tell you a simple word. Cerni's test is a test done for what? It's a test done for invasiveness. I repeat, you take an extract of an organism and put them into the eyes of the guinea pig. That organism, if it is invasive, it invades through cornea and conjunctiva and can cause scarring, because of which the particular guinea pig will turn blind. This is called as positive Cernese test. So Cernese test is a test for invasiveness. Enterohemorrhagic E. coli can cause hemorrhage, but it is toxin-based hemorrhage. There is one more E. coli called as E. coli that can show Cernese test positivity. Who else can show Cernese test positivity? Shigella. Because Shigella has the property of EIEC, because EIEC has, I repeat, listen carefully, EHEC is based on cytotoxin only. EIEC has both cytotoxin and that of invasion. Shigella has again cytotoxin and invasion. Now you people tell me which two of them are actually similar to each other. 1, 2, and 3. Which two of them are similar to each other? Welcome, Zeal. Bharat, Janani, how can you say 1 and 3? Fatima, how are you saying 1 and 3? I'm saying EHEC contains only cytotoxin. EIEC contains cytotoxin plus invasion. Shigella also contains cytotoxin and invasion. So tell me which two people are together. EIEC, I told you, EIEC is entero-invasive E. coli. Ramkumar, am I not audible to you? Yes. So 2 and 3 are similar. So when they ask you which disease, which organism resembles shigellosis, what is your answer? Which disease process resembles shigellosis? Infection caused by EIEC. Also remember, EHEC cannot ferment sorbitol. EHEC can cause HUS and it can release Shiga-like toxin, but it is not Shiga toxin, because Shiga toxin is released only by Shigella. Shiga-like toxin comes from EIEC and EHEC. Next question. An organism grown on agar shows green colored colonies. Very easy question, dead easy question. Don't make a mistake on this question. How many of you find microbiology very tough? Can you please let me know? For you, I'll make another arrangement and I'll take extra classes for you if you say you want. How many of you think microbiology is difficult? Okay, fine. So there are some few people. Okay. So shall we have one more session tomorrow? We'll have mixed bags questions from microbiology. Okay, this is the leaderboard. Okay, so many people find microbiology difficult. So shall we have a session tomorrow? 8:15 to 9:15, like this today. We'll have mixed bag questions. We'll have 50 to 60 questions to be done. Okay. Will you come tomorrow? I'll be very glad if you come. Please bring your classmates also if they are willing to come. Okay. Now listen carefully. There are some people who chose A. Why they chose A? Because they might have been confused. Staphylococcus aureus is aurum. Aurum is the Latin word for gold. So yellow, green, or golden yellow colored pigments are found by Staphylococcus aureus. But Pseudomonas is the one who produces green colored pigments, and that green colored pigment is pyocyanin and pyoverdin. I hope you'll remember this for your exams. Pseudomonas will produce a pigment. That pigment can be present on the wound. When you give the gauze bottle and the gauze piece also, even the dressing will turn green because of Pseudomonas, Pern's infection. Congenital syphilis can be best diagnosed by which one? Congenital syphilis can be best diagnosed by which one, people? Congenital syphilis can be best diagnosed by. Okay, only 24% people have got it right. Kanmani, Radhika Chandra, Ken Adams, Amisha, Varshini are all the fastest for this answer. Now remember, congenital syphilis means, let me try to draw a female. Okay, now this is the fetus. Now there is a barrier, placental barrier. The blood will be trying to pass into the fetus. Now when I draw blood from the fetus, if the blood contains IgG, you have a doubt. The IgG can be produced by the fetus itself, or it can come from the mother also. Why? Because IgG can cross placenta. But when I find IgM in the fetal circulation, Please remember, IgM cannot cross the placenta. So whatever IgM I found was produced only by the fetus. If the fetus is producing IgM, it means intrauterine the fetus got the infection against which the fetus is trying to show you a reaction. So that is confirming your diagnosis of congenital syphilis. And the best method is FTA-ABS. Right now, the best method of confirmation is TPPA. TPPA is Treponema pallidum particulate agglutination. Previously, it was TPHA, that is Treponema pallidum hemagglutination assay. Before that, it was FTA-ABS. Let's go for the next question. All are, okay, wait a minute. Welcome, Umme Kulsum and Pri. Have you come for the first time, Umme Kulsum? All are features of urea plasma ureaticum except. Think before you choose, you'll not go wrong. All are features of urea plasma urealyticum except. Oh, nice. Thank you. Umme Kulsum. Yes, thank you very much. I hope you'll be staying with us for the next half an hour. Please stay with us. If you have any difficulties, please let us know. Pri, have you come for the first time, Pri? Okay. So the problem with this question is many people might have actually seen or overlooked this particular area. Remember, non-gonococcal urethritis, the most common organism would be chlamydia. The second most common organism will be urea plasma urealyticum. So definitely option A is correct. And urea plasma can cause UTI. The UTI can climb up. It can cause genitourinary tract infections. It can go to the salpingeal tube and can cause salpingitis. It can cause epidermitis also. But bacterial vaginosis is caused by which organism, people? Anybody? Bacterial vaginosis is caused by which organism? Excellent. Hello? Gonorrhea, Trichomonas, E. coli. Bacterial vaginosis is caused by Trichomonas vaginalis. Please understand, people, Gardnerella does not attack GUT. Genitourinary tract is not attacked by Gardnerella. Trichomonas is the one who attacks genitourinary tract. Gardnerella will attack your GIT and causes diarrhea and malabsorption, while Trichomonas attacks GUT and can cause UTI or bacterial vaginosis and vaginitis. Next question. Regarding HIV infection, not true is, among the following, which one is a false statement? Let me put my face to the other side. Yes, go for it. Regarding HIV infection, which one is not true? Are you all able to follow the class, people? Are you all comfortable with the speed and the explanation? Please tell me now so that I can actually make a modification if you need. Do you want me to go slower or faster? Let me know. I'll do it. You want me to go slower? Okay. Ramkumar, I'll try to be slow now. Please let me know if it is okay for you. This is the leaderboard. Kanmani is on top. Varshini, Yofan, Chandrasekhar, Yusuf, Ken Adams, Raji Chandru, Charvi, Radhika Chandran, Arabi. Okay. Now look at this part here. See, P24 antigen is definitely used for early diagnosis within 2 months of exposure to infection. And the HIV usually attacks CD4 lymphocytes. So CD4 lymphocytes can be destroyed. Macrophage will definitely be a reservoir for the virus because macrophage can exhibit CXCR5 co-receptor. You have co-receptors called as CXCR5 macrophages. But dendritic cells are what? Modified macrophages are dendritic cells. And these dendritic cells are the site where the HIV can replicate. So do not support replication is a wrong statement. That is why C is the wrong statement. Let's go for the next question. A pregnant woman from Bihar presents with hepatic encephalopathy. What is the likely diagnosis? So sorry. Hepatic encephalopathy. Look at the condition here. Am I audible to you? Yes. Ramkumar, is the speed okay for you? Burbi has given the fastest answer, followed by Radhika Chandra and Kanmani. Very well played. Let me show the leaderboard here. Okay. Yusuf Hakim, Yofan, Ken Adams, Kaj Chandra, Charvi, Radhika Chandra, Dr. V. Well played. So the right answer is hepatitis E. Please understand, among hepatitis A, B, C, D, E, G, and I, The one that is having specific attraction towards pregnant females is your hepatitis E. Hepatitis E can attack pregnancy. Remember, E for encephalopathy, and high fatality happens. Fatality. Am I audible? Yes. So the fatality rate is very high when it comes to hepatitis E. Did you miss anything? Hello? Fatality rate is very high if it is hepatitis E. Excellent. Thank you very much. Virus causing hemorrhagic conjunctivitis or hemorrhagic cystitis, diarrhea. Which one? Whenever you have sore throat, they tell you not to use antibiotics. When you have sore throat, do not use antibiotics. The best way of treating sore throat is going for salt water gargle. And that water should be very warm water so that you can use chemical therapy for killing the microbe. Why am I not using antibiotics? Because remember, 80% of sore throat is caused by viruses. Among viruses, the most common virus who casually causes sore throat would be adenovirus. And this adenovirus not only causes sore throat, it can also cause conjunctivitis. So this can be called as pharyngoconjunctival fever. Pharyngoconjunctival fever. Adenovirus causes pharyngoconjunctival fever and can also cause hemorrhagic cystitis by attacking your bladder. I hope you'll be able to use this in your exams. Very well. 72% have answered this question. Let's go for the next question. Cysteine lactose enzyme deficient. This is wrong. It is not enzyme deficient. It is electrolyte deficient. The question paper in the exam paper itself is wrong. Cysteine is not cysteine. It is cysteine. Cysteine is combination of two cysteine molecules. This is cysteine. It is not cysteine. Cysteine lactose electrolyte deficient medium is preferred over McConkey agar in UTI because. What is the right answer here? I have explained this in the theory class also many times, and I was very glad to see these kind of questions in the exam paper so that you'll be able to answer it better. Remember, both McConkey agar and CLED agar can prevent the swarming growth of Proteus, and both can be helpful in the growth of gram-negative enteric bacilli. I repeat, both McConkey agar and CLED can help in the growth of gram-negative enteric bacilli. Now let me ask you a question. See, McConkey agar also can help in the growth of gram-negative enteric bacilli, while CLED also can help in the growth of gram-negative enteric bacilli. But can you be very sure that McConkey agar, wait a minute. Yes. Now, can you be very sure that your gram-negative enteric bacilli is the only source of UTI? Can you guarantee that UTI is caused only by gram-negative enteric bacilli? Please tell me. Gram-negative enteric bacilli, will they be the only kind of organisms causing your UTI? No, right? So fungus like Candida can cause UTI. Gram-positive cocci like Staphylococcus and Streptococcus can cause UTI. So there are many organisms that can cause UTI. But McConkey agar allows the growth only of gram-negative enteric bacilli, while CLED helps in the growth of Candida also. So that is why I use CLED more than McConkey agar. McConkey agar and CLED both can prevent the swarming of Proteus, and both of them are selective medium, and both of them can prevent the growth of Pseudomonas. All of them are true for both of them. They are asking you, why are you choosing CLED and not McConkey agar? The answer is CLED helps in the growth of Candida, not McConkey. Let's go for the next question. In which stage of filariasis are microfilariasis in the peripheral blood? If you see microfilaria in the peripheral blood, which stage is it? Zishan Pathan, I've seen your name for the first time, but you're doing very well. You have actually answered the questions, most of the questions, that's the first person, followed by Urvi and Sayonara. Zishan, have you come to this class for the first time, Zishan? Urvi, have you come to the class before? Zishan Pathan, have you come to this class before? My classes before? Okay, so this is the leaderboard. Okay, thank you, Zishan, for coming. Urvi, have you come to the class before? Have you attended my classes anytime before? Are you able to follow the classes, Zishan and Urvi? Okay, this is the leaderboard. The right answer is early adenolymphangitis stage. What is adenolymphangitis? Look at this. If you focus on lymphatics. Lymphatics is like a train track. And when you keep on following a train track for 10 or 15 kilometers, you'll find a small station. A railway station can be found. Again, train tracks will continue. Likewise, every time lymphatics are coming, you'll be having a train station called as lymph node. Both lymphatics and lymph nodes can be affected. And if it is the early stage, you'll be able to see the microfilaria in the peripheral blood. Please understand, when the lymphangitis is attacking the lymphatics, the blood vessels are free so that the microfilaria will jump into the blood vessel. You can see the microfilaria in the peripheral blood. Okay, next question. Pancreatic cancer is caused by which organism? Pancreatic cancer is caused by which organism? Come on, people. You cannot make a mistake in this question. Fasciola hepatica, Clonorchis sinensis, Paragonimus westermani. What is the beauty of all these? They all have a name. Kanmani is still on top. Yusuf Hakim, Varshini, Chandrasekhar, and Dr. Abi are in the top area. See, Fasciola hepatica, as the name suggests, hepatica says it is a liver fluke. Clonorchis sinensis is also a oriental liver fluke, but it is most of hepatobiliary apparatus. It is not for liver alone, it is for hepatobiliary apparatus. Paragonimus westermani is known for, in the late stage, the particular microfilaria would have grown up into proper kind of larva. They will actually become a bigger larva or they become worms. Okay, Paragonimus westermani attacks your lungs. So now, in among the three areas, the one who can reach the biliary system would be Clonorchis. Please remember, be it parasitology or bacteriology, if a particular organism is present in a local anatomical structure for a longer time, if an organism stays in the anatomical structure for a longer time, it causes chronic infection and chronic inflammation. That can cause change in the epithelial architecture histologically, because of which you can have metaplasia. That metaplasia can slowly get converted into carcinoma. So through the bile tract, the organism can enter into the pancreas also. So pancreatic cancer is best caused by Clonorchis because Fasciola and Paragonimus are focused only on the major organs called as liver and lung respectively. But Clonorchis can have a role to play in the ductal areas. Next question. All the following are true except which one is a false statement of the given question? This is an all India question, but has been asked in UPSC. It has asked in FMGE also. So I hope you'll be able to give the right answer. Very well, very well. 80% people are giving the right answer. Well played, people. Welcome, Kusmanjali. Welcome, Bhavna. Kusmanjali, have you come to the class for the first time? Okay. Let me show you the leaderboard here. This is the leaderboard. Now, Yusuf Hakim is on top, Varshini second, Kanmani third, Chandrasekhar fourth. Look at the logic here. Proteus is an organism who can release ammonia because Proteus is urease positive. Because of excess amount of ammonia in the urinary filtrate, the uric acid will not be stabilized. It becomes loose, it becomes soluble. So more soluble, it is lost in the urine. I repeat once again, Proteus produces alkaline urine. In the alkaline condition, acidic stones will not be formed. E. coli is aerobe, faculty anaerobe is true. E. coli is motile by peritracheate flagella is true. What is peritracheate flagella? See, if you have a flagella like this, it is polar flagella. But if you have flagella all over the body, it is called as peritracheate. The best examples can be E. coli and Salmonella typhi. These two organisms are the best examples for peritracheate flagella. Flagella is present all over the body. Also remember, Proteus has not only the urease enzyme which can break urea to liberate ammonia. I repeat, Proteus has urease which breaks urea to liberate ammonia. It also has deaminase enzyme. That deaminase enzyme can deaminate the phenylalanine and convert it into phenylpyruvate. So D is true, C is true, A is true, but Proteus forms calcium phosphate and struvite stones, not uric acid stones. Next question. Consumption of uncooked pork is likely to cause which of the following helminthic disease? Consumption of uncooked pork is likely to cause which of the following helminthic disease? Excellent. All of you are able to say that. Tell me, what is the name of the worm? What is a common name for the worm, people? If you know the answer, please tell me what is a common name for the right answer. The worm, which is the right answer for this question. What is a common name for the worm? Anybody? Excellent. Excellent, Fatima. It is called as pork tapeworm. That is the name itself. So Taenia solium is called as pork tapeworm. It spreads through pork, uncooked pork. If you cook properly, you will not be able to have the infection. Okay, now we are going for another question paper. The following diagnostic tests are useful for the corresponding purposes. If this is the test, this is the purpose. Likewise, among A, B, C, and D, which one is not properly matched? Tell me the answer. I'll give you 45 seconds for the question. Read. Welcome, Radheshyam. Radheshyam, have you come for the first time to this class, Radheshyam? Kumawat, I think I've seen you before. Am I right? Have you come before? Correct, Amisha. It is tapeworm. Okay, so excellent. Only 2% people have given the answer as A, because we all know that Zeal-Nielsen technique is called as the modified acid-fast staining, which is important for detection of mycobacteria. Because everybody knows this, option A is out of the equation. Now our answer should be one among the three. Let me tell you, only 37% people have given the right answer. Look at this. Immunofluorescence can definitely detect any kind of virus, so it is detecting influenza also. But look at the option C. IgM speaks about acute infection. And in case of rubella, you can't depend on IgM antibodies to make the diagnosis of immunity against rubella. Please understand, IgM antibodies, if they are present, does that mean you are immunologically stronger? Does that mean you are vaccinated? Tell me this question. If I find IgM antibodies, be it for rubella or any other kind of infection for that matter, IgM tells you what? The presence of IgM tells you what? IgM tells you about acute response given by the body. There is no guarantee IgM can be protective. But when you give vaccination, you are protected. Why? Because vaccination induces long-term antibody called as IgG. So remember, when I say IgG, I can look at the immune status. But IgM for detection of acute infection is absolutely true. Yes or no? Be it immunologically virus, this virus or that virus. Option D is universally true. Yes or no? Yes or no, people? When I say option D is IgM only. It can tell me about acute infection. That is true. But IgM is not telling you about immunity. IgG tells you about immunity. Let's go for the next question. IL-1 produces what? This is a very tricky question. Please be careful. IL-1 produces what? Sainora has given the fastest answer, followed by Zishan Patan. Very well played, people. Very well played. Followed by Charvi Gupta. Zishan, are you an FMG aspirant? Sainora, are you an FMG aspirant? Or NEET PG aspirant? Which one are you? NEET or FMG? Sainora and Zishan. If you wish to tell us, tell. Okay, Zishan, will you please come for the next classes also? Please come for the next classes and I'll show you the, okay, NEET. So I'll show you the Telegram group. Please join the Telegram group and get the free notifications. If you like the classes, please come again, okay? You're welcome. Remember, IL-1 is an important interleukin that mediates, I repeat, interleukin that mediates wound healing. Yeah, welcome. I repeat, interleukin 1 mediates wound healing. But there are enough amount of studies to say that because of IL-1 being in excess, it can also delay the wound healing. Both wound healing is done by IL-1 and delay is also done by IL-1. But lymphocyte activation is the function of interleukin 2, not the function of interleukin 1. And it decreases the pain perception, not increase. It does not have a role in PMN release. So the best answer would be delaying wound healing. Next question. Microfilaria are seen in the peripheral blood in which stage? I told you, right, this is a different question paper. So you should be able to answer this better. Come on, people. You saw the question just now. You saw the question just now. In spite of that, there are some people who are making mistakes. Okay. Now there are some people who chose option B, early elephantiasis. Remember, early elephantiasis does not mean it is early adenolemphangitis. It means elephantiasis is settled. It is chronic. It is not acute. It is delayed. Delayed response adenolymphangitis. When will you have elephantiasis? Think about it. If at all the foot lymphatics have been blocked for a very long time, because of which water will come outside, this water can cause edema. Initially, it will be pure water, so it is pitting pedal edema. When it is pitting for a long time because of pure water, slowly fibroblasts will come and accumulate. When the fibrous tissue is accumulating, it becomes non-pitting. Once it becomes non-pitting, it makes the person lose sensation on the skin, because of which continuous itchy sensation happens. When a patient keeps on itching this area and scratching this area, it turns color. It slowly turns darker and more thicker. This is called as, I repeat, this is called as pachydermatous change. Pachydermatous means what? It is like a pachyderm. The best example for a pachyderm is elephant. Only in the later stages of this particular lymphatic obstruction, you can have elephantiasis. So early adenolymphangitis is the right answer. Next question. Confirmation of diagnosis of rotavirus infection is by what? Confirmation of diagnosis of rotavirus infection is by what? We have 15 more minutes. Shall we finish it off, people? Will you be there till the end of the class? User has joined. Welcome, user. Okay, always remember, always remember, there is no point in trying to culture a virus like rotavirus. Rotavirus is universally available. It can be found anywhere, and any kind of child can be suffering from rotaviral infection. But only a small fraction of the child who are suffering from infection can go for diarrhea. Remember, the most common cause of infant diarrhea is rotavirus if it is viral infection. Now, you don't have to go for culture. You just have to go for antigen detection by ELISA. Make this a point. Please make it an important point. Antigen detection in stool by ELISA for rotavirus is the best way of confirming the diagnosis of rotavirus. Next, this is UPSC plus FMGE questions from 2016 year. Let's try to answer. Which one of the following infections is related to the subacute sclerosing panencephalitis? This is an example of a slow viral illness. Tell me what is the right answer. Which one of the following infections is related to SSPE? I can see 70% people giving the right answer. That's a very well played game. Very well, people. Nice. Okay, now it has fallen to 16. Come on, people. Unknown number has joined us. Welcome, unknown. Shaz Q, welcome to this class. Are you having come to the first time, Shaz Q? Yes, late complication. Not just late, extremely late complication. Tell me, SSPE is the most common neurological complications of measles virus. Yes or no? Tell me, SSPE is the most common neurological manifestation or complication of measles virus. Yes or no? No. Please understand, the answer is no. It is the least common complication. It is the least common. Now we're speaking about frequency. It does not happen just like that. Only in the rarest of rare. That is less than 0.01% of the people can suffer from SSPE. But that SSPE can be the answer for this question. The most fatal complication of measles is SSPE. Are you following this part? Also remember, you have something called as JC virus. If measles is causing SSPE, can you tell me what JC virus can cause? What is the slow viral manifestation of JCL? Excellent. This is PML. What is PML? What is PML? Don't tell me promyelocytic leukemia. JC. You don't have to know the full name of the JC. Just know it is JC virus. Like how I say BKK virus as an alternative name for polio virus. Remember, JC is just an initial. You don't have to know the JC name. PML is what? Progressive multifocal leukoencephalopathy. Why leuko? Because white matter is the one, leuko means white. White matter of the brain is the one that actually melts because of the PML. Next question. Consider the following statements. Boils or suppurative lesions around the nose must be promptly treated with antibiotics. 2. Separate lesions around the nose lead to cavernous sinus thrombosis. Which of the given statements is true? 1 only, 2 only, both 1 and 2, neither 1 nor 2. Which is the right answer here? Welcome Divya Gurunathan. Welcome Shaz Q. Shaz Q, have you come to this class for the first time? Are you here with us, Shaz Q? Yes, thank you very much. So please come tomorrow also. We'll have a session tomorrow. Are you an FMG aspirant, Shaz Q? The right answer is both 1 and 2. Think about it. Whenever you have, yes, whenever you have balls or separate lesions on the nose, you have to understand that is the danger area of the face because the infection can directly travel into the brain. It can into the cavernous sinus thrombosis. So both option 1 and 2 are true. Next question. Which one of the following tests has the highest chance of detection of HIV infection in a blood donor during the window period? 1 minute. Just give me a second. Yes. Go for the poll, people. See, what is the window period? From the time the clinical manifestations have started till the time where the first antibody can be detected. That period where diagnosis is becoming very difficult, that is called as window period. Are you following this part? So from the time of clinical investigation, that is clinical symptoms to be starting, from till the activity of antibody being detected, among that period, between the two periods, some periods of diagnosis will not be easy. So among that period, which can be giving you the best chance of making a detection? The right answer is P4 antigen testing. Welcome Khan, welcome Yashwant Dora. Look at this. The answer is P24 antigen detection. It can be helpful for early detection. Also, it can give you the best answer in the window period. Let's go for the next question. Okay. Now look at this. Which of the following features are characteristic of tuberculoid leprosy? A. Type 2 lepra reaction. A few lesions with demarcated well-demarcated edges. Early and marked nerve damage is seen. Tendency to heal spontaneously. Select the correct answer using the code given below. Which one is actually the true statement as given here? Is it 1, 2, and 3, 2, 3, and 4, 1 and 4, 2 and 3 only? Which one? Look at it. Tuberculoid leprosy is the key word. What is tuberculoid leprosy? Tuberculoid leprosy means what? Is the CMI the best or the worst? Tuberculoid leprosy means the CMI is the best or the worst? Best. So when the CMI is the best, will you have better control of the organism or poor control of the organism? When the CMI is the best, do you have good control or bad control? Better control. When you have better control, the proliferation will be high or lower? Proliferation of bacilli will be high or low? Low. So when you have few bacilli, the lesions also will be few. On that basis, your 2 can be a true statement. But tuberculoid leprosy can show me type 1 reaction or no reaction at all. CMI means, Ramkumar, CMI means cell mediated immunity. Okay. That is T cell mediated immunity can fight against the infection. Okay. Also remember, in tuberculoid leprosy, the healing can be spontaneous. Because CMA is good, it can be spontaneous. The best answer would be B. Next question. Which one of the following immunological reactions occurs in Goodpasture syndrome? Is that okay, Ramkumar? Okay, so this kind of questions can be confusing. Remember, Goodpasture syndrome is an autoimmune or even better, hypersensitive reaction. And your own antibodies can attack your own glomerular basement membrane. Remember, Goodpasture syndrome attacks both kidney and lung equally. And that is because of the antibody. Whenever you have antibody mediated cell dependent cytotoxicity, it comes under type 2. So type 2 cytotoxicity is the answer for the given question. Let's go for the next question. 21. Okay. Consider the following statements about leptospirosis. Among the following, which of the statements given above are correct? A. Ubiquitous enzootic disease. Its incubation period ranges from 2 to 20 days. The intensity of jaundice is directly related to prognosis. The urine may show microscopic hematuria. Among the following, which one is the best answer here? Go for it, people. Okay, nice. So option A is the best answer because remember, if the jaundice is very high, that does not mean the prognosis is bad. Please remember, in leptospirosis, what is the causative organism? Leptospira icterohemorrhagica. Because it is icterohemorrhagica, you understand, it can cause icterus called as jaundice. It can cause hemorrhage also. The hemorrhage is the one that can help you with the prognosis, not the jaundice. So A is true, that is 1 is true, 2 is true, and 4 is true. And in the urine, you can see hematuria because it is capable of causing hemorrhagic disorder. Also remember, it is called as rat urine disease. Let me show the leaderboard now. Okay, we have 4 more minutes. Raksharati asked how many questions left. Yes, I'll tell you. We have some questions, definitely some questions left, but we'll carry it over tomorrow's session. Will you come tomorrow, people? Raksharati, will you come tomorrow? SVC syndrome can occur in the following. Okay, tell me. SVC syndrome can occur in the following, except use, oh, okay, this is not a microbiology question. Let's skip this one. We'll come to here. Okay, tell me. This one can have microbiology, dermatology, mycology coming together. That's why I put this question forward. See whether you can answer this. On your left, you have physical sign. On your right, you have medical condition. Match the sign with the condition. We have Cobner's phenomenon, erythema nodosum, erythema multiforme, Nikolsky sign on one side, lepta reaction, pemphigus vulgaris, Stevens-Johnson syndrome, psoriasis on the other side. Let me erase all the annotations. We'll see how many of you can get the right answer here. Okay. I'll start the poll. 1 minute. Okay, go for the poll, people. Yes, think about it before you answer. Okay, tell me, what is Stevens-Johnson syndrome? What is Stevens-Johnson syndrome? Either when I use an antibiotic or any kind of rational drug, if it produces an idiosyncratic reaction in such a way, you will have skin rashes, skin lesion happening. When the skin peels off, see, in Stevens-Johnson syndrome, skin will peel off. Skin peeling off is called as what sign? Skin peeling off is called as what sign? Skin peeling off is called as Nikolsky sign. This Nikolsky sign happens in Stevens-Johnson syndrome. Also, it can happen in staphylococcal scalded skin syndrome, that is Richter's disease, and also in case of toxic epidermal necrolysis. And remember, Cobner's phenomenon of nails can be seen in case of psoriasis. Erythema multiforme, erythema nodosum are all known to you. So let's go to the next question. This will be the last question for the day. This one is not microbiology. Okay. Which of the following is not a complication of malaria? Which of the following is not a complication of malaria? Excellent. I'm so happy many of you are able to get the right answer. What is malaria? That disease caused by plasmodial species, which makes sure an RBC has been invaded. Remember, the primary target of Plasmodium is always RBC. But before entering into RBC, it goes to the liver for a while. That is called as exoerythrocytic cycle or pre-erythrocytic cycle. After that, it goes into the RBC and keeps on circulating the RBC where the ring stages can be formed. At that point of time, remember, malaria and the plasmodial antigens, along with that of sporozoites, are capable of activating the release of insulin. Excess massive release of insulin can cause what, people? Excess massive release of insulin can cause what, people? Can you please tell me? Excess massive release of insulin can cause what? Malaria, the plasmodium can easily release insulin, because of which what can you expect? You can expect hypoglycemia, so not hyperglycemia. And malaria can cause anaerobic status because it can keep up all the RBC destruction, so acidosis. The same malarial complication attacks your lung, it can cause ARDS, and malaria can go to your brain to cause coma. So the best answer would be hyperglycemia of the given question. Welcome, Dr. Bhagyashree, Shinde, and Sanju. I'm sorry, you come for the last end of the class. So is it okay if I keep the class tomorrow at 8:15 p.m.? Sanjeev Chaudhary, I am not the app owner and I am not the engineer of the app. When the class is over, at the end of the class, you will be able to get the class started. For example, if the class is getting right now end at 9:15. Now you should wait till 9:45 because many faculty will be making mistakes during the class. For example, the screen can be seen or something else can be screened. That should be edited for everybody to see. So for editing, they will take half an hour time. Only after that, it will be visible for view. After that, only after 20 minutes from there, the PDF will be available. So I hope you'll be able to get it faster. I'm so sorry you got it late. Please forgive me. And others, did you like the class? Did you like the questions? Will it be okay if I leave the class at 8:15 tomorrow? 8:15 is okay for you tomorrow? Okay, so thank you very much. Thanks a lot for being here. Yes, thank you very much. Have a good night. Okay, thank you so much. You all been very good audience. Thank you so much. I hope I have helped you with your preparation. All the best for your preparation. Tomorrow I'll meet you again at 8:50. Good night. And if you wish to come at 6:30, we'll be having a theory class on biochemistry where we'll be discussing transcription. For those people who have come to the class for the first time, let me show you the link. This is the place where you can join my Telegram group for links. I'll be sending and sharing the links on these Telegram groups. Join me. And if you like the class, please put a thumbs up. Thank you so much. Have a good night. Good night. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, integrated questions. I'm just doing the repeat questions from the past. In the future discussion sessions, we'll do integrated questions. Okay. Tomorrow we'll be doing only microbiology questions because I'm just continuing with the ritual. The ritual is that FMGE previous repeat questions are being done with explanation. Is that okay, Shazq? We'll do it in the future also. Okay, Shazq. Thank you.